Hey everybody, how are you doing today? My name is Relian. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today we are jumping into Crowsworn, and I want to go over all of the information that has been presented and available to us on the Mongoose Rodeo, who is the developers for Crowsworn, and what they've shown us thus far. So I went back as far as kind of around the time of when the Kickstarter was going on, because even before then they weren't really showing a whole lot of anything to like really get us hyped out. They're really trying to be very cautious about what they showed. So you'll notice with the first couple of items, the first one being this small, I don't know what this is, maybe some sort of eye. We can't really glean too much from it, but it's there. The second one looks like it's some sort of maybe a leg. Like, again, this is the kind of stuff that they're showing really early on. And another one of these small ones is maybe a crotch. I'm guessing. I'm gonna guess crotch. Let me know if what you think it is. I'm guessing crotch. As we go on, we're gonna get items and images that are bigger than this. The nail. I'm guessing it's some sort of like some sort of tooth or a nail from an enemy. I don't know. But as we go on, get a couple of these throughout. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 of these images where they're completely blanked out like this. There were a couple of people who put in some like funny what their guesses were, because it does kind of look like duck feet on the sides, or like webbed toes or something like that. But I don't know. This is some sort, I would guess that this is an enemy more so than being some sort of like bench or something you sit on. I wouldn't want to sit on that. That would terrify me. It looks like something that's going to jump at you and try to mess you up, especially whatever's coming out of its mouth. I don't want any part of that. No, thank you. And then you got the protagonist taking a knee. I don't know, probably later on we see another image that's similar to this when like the protagonist does like a jump and like slams down on the ground. So I'm wondering if it's kind of part of that. And so this looks like some sort of landmark. I originally thought it was some sort of bench or a place to take a rest, but then the image that came immediately afterward is pretty much the same thing but all lit up. So maybe you toss your monies in here, because the currency that we have in the game looks like to be like some sort of like red like bloodstone or some sort of gem or something. So maybe by throwing it in here, it'll light up. I don't know. That's my guess. All right. So the next image we have here is some sort of shovel. I'm assuming this is going to be some sort of background thing that's added in. Because I don't think that enemies are going to have like items or like weapons that they just like kind of pick up. They're kind of always holding their weapons. It's my guess. I don't really know. This next image is kind of interesting because this is one of the first times that we really get a look at this symbol, where it's like the circle with the line going through it. And we're going to be seeing this throughout all of Crowsworn. Like, it is like seriously, it's all over the place, even early on, which is kind of cool. And I was wondering what these arms were like holding it up. And then the very next image, you got this guy. So I'm pretty sure these two images side by side, he's holding that thing up for one reason or another. I don't know why. He's just kind of bearing the whatever this image is. I don't know if this has any like real world significance. Like, I've never seen anything like this before, but let me know in the comments before if like this is like some sort of, I don't know, Norse or like religious symbol. I have no idea. So next we've got the protagonist doing some sort of like, man, I don't even know, throwing his arms out. And I can't tell if he's got his guns at his sides or if those are his hands. I don't know why they're glowing yellow. And he has some sort of like cowbell thing around his neck. I don't know. I love looking at all this stuff. And again, if you're already following Mongoose Rodeo on Twitter, then you will have seen all of this stuff, or you have it available for you. I just really wanted to make this video for anybody who isn't on Twitter, because I have a feeling that quite a few people who are on YouTube, they're not always paying attention to everything on Twitter. So just trying to share the information all around, right? So this next one is like some sort of stone face, obviously, with like the face of a bird. But what I found really interesting is if you look at the bottom center of it, it almost looks like you can see the outline of the protagonist down there. So I don't know what's going on with like it's one image over top of another image or what that is, but it looks like it's probably some sort of sacred thing, especially because of all the bones and like bloody gory mess on top. This one's really cool. This like watermill area just looks like it's going to be part of like just a really interesting area. Most of the images that we are going to be seeing are going to be taking place in like the sewers, and then also outside in some sort of like foresty area. So I would say that this is part of like the foresty area, and it's I just love the atmosphere of this game. It looks absolutely beautiful, but then you can also tell like in the rocks in the foreground, it's obviously not fully done. Like some of the areas are just like, it almost looks like pen marks around the rocks to give you like an idea of where everything's going to go, but still so good. Like as we go on, you also see a lot of the detail in some of the bigger areas really starts to shine. So how we see here, this is like the forest area the protagonist is running through. And then also take a look at the UI. This is something I didn't notice until later, is that in certain places later, we will see the UI be like fully like chained up. You'll see what I mean by that later. And protagonist taking a fall. And then here's a little animation of the protagonist taking a swing. So we know that he's going to be able to do like melee attacks without a melee weapon, just using his fists of fury. I don't know what that's going to be like. Like, is it just far less damage? Is it he's using his fist because he hasn't found his scythe yet? There's a good chance that we have to find our scythe. So we already knew that the protagonist was going to be doing a roll. I think it's just interesting to see how detailed all of the images are. Like this game is going to look so beautiful that like even whether you're playing on a Nintendo Switch, like on a super small screen, or like on PC, I think it's gonna look so beautiful. And then here's an image of one of the bosses being modeled. And so I remember them saying something in one of the Kickstarter backer posts that they were working with a new modeling system that was going to allow them to save just a ton of time. So I think that this was just like kind of part of that. Crow friend without a hat, which also means that maybe our protagonist is bald as well. Very likely. And also the red eye, I don't think that's the same red eye that we saw earlier, but it could be. And here we go again, out in the forest, running towards the gates. Okay. And here we go. We just see the protagonist doing some damage, which is part of a GIF that we actually saw earlier. And this is actually part of the same area that we saw in, what was it? The launch trailer, right? This is a big boy who will jump at you. And he's going to be in the sewers in the earlier game, whatever else. Kind of creepy looking if you ask me. I don't know how he moves that tummy around. Like and his arms are so little. He's so like odd shaped. Like maybe he's been like on his cell. Like this is what I feel like my mom says would have happened to me from like playing Game Boy and like being on my phone all the time. Like you're looking down at your phone. She just thought that my head was gonna shrink down into my stomach and like my arms were gonna like come up, and like this is what she thought I was gonna look like. This is what she threatened would happen to me, but I don't think I look that bad, right? Not that bad. All right, so next we got the protagonist taking his shot in the sewers. I don't know what he's shooting at here. Like there's nothing specifically that it looks like he's shooting at, but what's really cool is the detail from now he's got his guns. So the UI earlier didn't have the bullets, so we know that for sure he's definitely finding the guns, he's finding the weapons, because he did not have that before, or he was just full on his bullets, so that part of the UI just kind of disappeared. More than likely he had to find the weapons. And then also you can see down at the bottom with all of the silk cocoons, we're probably gonna have some spider enemies coming through. So next up is from one of the first screenshot Saturdays that they had ever shared for Crowsworn, and he's using this really awesome like spin cycle ability. Just so cool watching him like bounce off the walls and hit enemies, and it just kind of keeps going and going, and like he has the ability to stop whenever he wants. Like I don't know, just something about this just looks like it's going to be a really good time, and I just hope it's not too hard to control. this little image, I'm not entirely sure what this is. To be fair, I'm probably saying that a lot. I'm not entirely sure what a lot of this stuff is, but it's just kind of cool, glowing, some sort of area. I don't think that's an item. I think it's part of a bigger piece of something. And then next we have the metal boss from the trailer. And again, I believe this is using the new software and just kind of modeling everything out as far as how all the limbs and different things can work together, which is really, really cool. This is one of the boss from the first trailer, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. Not only do they have the amazing art, but then they also have the software to model and animate everything really well too. It's just like, yes. All right, so this next one, I call this Nightmare Fuel because this just looks terrifying. Both this one and the next one, it's just like some sort of flower enemy with tentacles all over the place, and its legs just kind of kicking around down at the bottom. Like, what is this? Like, I can't even imagine. The second one here, it almost looks like it's got 4 legs and wings or something like that. I've never been a big fan of flying enemies because they're usually just more difficult to get a hold of and to attack and whatever else. These things are probably going to be pretty tough, especially if they're like using their tentacles to like fling at you, or they're shooting some sort of projectile. They're going to be difficult. All right, so next up we got the Protagonist throwing a punch, and we got a couple little animations of that. Nothing too crazy. We understand the Protagonist is going to be taking a swing. We got the Metal Boy's arm here, and I just love the details. We get to see lots of little bits and pieces from the Crowsworn team, and what's cool is as we get further and further along, we're going to start getting bigger screenshots of like whole areas and stuff. And so here next, I don't know what we'd even call this person, this thing with the glowing mask, but we do have a little animation of it just kind of chilling and doing its thing. I imagine this is one of the not enemies, but NPCs that you talk to be able to upgrade your spells, attacks, abilities. I'm pretty sure that this is where or at least one of the places where we can upgrade stuff. So next up we have the sewer with what you can see is a lever over on the side that's probably to call the elevator. And what's really cool is that later on we're going to get an animation of this, and there's just a lot of little details. Already you can see like how many different pieces are in these areas, like not only just like the foreground and the background. I don't know, as we go on you're going to see even like more depth of field. Right now this is kind of more like the sewer area, and like I said, I think there's only like maybe like 2 main areas, 2 maybe 3 that we're really looking at through at least up to now. Also notice that here in the sewer we don't have our bullets showing, but in the next one we are out on the bridge. We do have our bullets showing. Over on the top right, we got 2 red circles now. Those red circles are our health flasks that we're going to be able to use to heal. And then also now we've got our bullets showing. So apparently we found our weapon. Also, look at the tops of all of the spires in the background, and also where the glowing sun is coming from. It looks like the same symbols that we saw earlier. We're going to start seeing these symbols more and more as we go on, and you might even just notice them in the background of, I might have missed 1 or 2. So next up we've got this beak face thing. I'm assuming that this is, I don't know if this is an enemy, friend, or foe. It's really hard to tell, just because it's like, it's got a beak face. Maybe it's friendly. I don't know enough. I don't know enough to tell like what is friendly and what is foe in this game yet. Here we go. This is the Protagonist doing his down smash. I would imagine this is like jumping in the air, and maybe you get like a down smash attack, like kind of like with Dead Cells or something like that. Like, that would be cool. I want that. Yes, please. In fact, you know what? I'm pretty sure we've even seen a Corvian ability that does do a down smash attack, so that's pretty sure that that's going to be there. All right, so this next animation that we have is him doing the dodge, hitting the elevator, calling it down. And what's really cool is if you look at the top of the elevator, it even shows as you get closer and closer to being at your final destination. So it goes from being, okay, we're at the bottom, and then the top moves, and then you're at the top. Little details. There's so many little details in this game, along with all the sounds, the animation, it looks so good. I cannot wait. Like, if I had to guess, this game's probably not going to be even ready until end of next year, like holiday 2023. It's gonna be a while, but still, woo, it's coming along nicely. All right, so next up we got the big boy who is in action. As you can see, he's jumping, doing his thing. His arms are a lot longer than I originally thought. I thought his arms were gonna be pretty small in comparison to his legs, but you know what? He's getting it. He's jumping super high for a big boy. I tell you what. And then after that, we got a little animation of the protagonist beating up one of the enemies. And as you can see, which is really interesting, is that he's actually gaining money while he's dealing damage. And when I say money, I mean whatever the red bloodstone looking thing is over at the top left of the UI. So he does a triple attack and gains 28 monies, right? So I don't know. It's a little bit different from most games. Most games you have to like finish killing an enemy before you get anything at all. And I also like that the monies are traveling towards him as opposed to like everything falling on the ground. Then you have to go back and like go pick it up. It's like, I got the kill or I did the damage. I earned that. Don't make me go waste my time to go pick it up. So I'm really happy so far as the way that looks. Next up, we've got an animation in progress of whether it's friend or foe, somebody pulling out a spear, creating a spear from their hands and giving it a toss. Why are they throwing it into the ground? I don't know. Maybe it will hit the ground and then cause some sort of shockwave or something. But it does look pretty cool. I like it a lot. So next up we have some sort of claw, and we've seen and will see several claws and hands as we go. So I'm wondering if these claws are some sort of like upgrade material that we end up picking up off of our fallen enemies and something that we fuse into ourselves. I have a feeling that's kind of how it's going to go. I believe that Crowsworn was going to have some sort of rune system that you add like into like sockets. Like you pick up an item and you put it into a socketed, I don't know, weapon or armor or whatever. But I think that they're going to be using these hands as something that you fuse into yourself. That's my guess. Let me know if that makes sense or if I'm completely off base. So next up, we've got these spiders that look absolutely terrifying with their big giant mouths that will just like launch at you. Like, what is up with that? Like, they make it look cool that you can kind of play with them a little bit. I don't know. I've never been a fan of spiders. They kind of always freak me out. They got kind of a decent range when it comes to throwing their mouth at you, but they look aggressive to say the least. So this next one is the protagonist kind of going down at a 45-degree angle, and I'm not entirely sure if he's actually doing a slide or if it's just like they took the image and like rotated a little bit and like I don't know what else he'd be doing other than a slide. I'm hoping we get to slide down some paths and stuff. I think that'd be cool. This is one that I'm really excited about because this crow is a bright red. It makes me think that this isn't like the death animation crow that you can see. Like, this makes me think of, oh man, using like a Corvian ability and like launching a giant crow at your enemies. Like, yes, I want that, like a giant, like full screen, just crow. Yes, let's do that. This next one, I can't tell if this is friend or foe. It talked about staring into the abyss long enough, the abyss will stare back into you. I have a feeling that based on the hands, this thing is an enemy. It does have the similar robe as the protagonist, kind of, sort of. I mean, obviously not that it's just at the same color, but other than that, the robe is like made out of like stars and abyss. I don't know. I think it's enemy. If I'm guessing, I'm gonna go with enemy. This next one, it looks like a little polyp, but it's so zoomed in, it's hard to tell what that thing could be. It's probably a very small piece of a larger enemy or area. Oh, this next animation, we get a bunch of little animations for this one character, and it looks so cool with the hat, the sword, and the I don't know what you call that. Not a spear. What are those things? Crossbow. Yes, get at me with this thing. It looks so fast and dangerous. If I had to guess, I think that this is going to end up being a friend who we have to either fight to make him our friend, or he looks threatening and we end up not having to fight him, and we get to work side by side. I believe, if I remember right, there might have been something where they said that we would actually be able to find allies that we could fight with in the game. And I could be making that up, and I just don't remember correctly. But I have a feeling that that is the case. And so after that first image, we get a second image of him also using some sort of Corvian slam attack, which is really cool. And then last but not least, something of him like doing some sort of like ready up move. Like this looks like something that he would do like when you first walk up on him, right? And he's just like, he's ready to go. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So next up, we have the gates to the sewer, I'm guessing, or some sort of underground area. I mean, you can see there's lots of spikes and stuff on the walls, and I feel like this is like an earlier concept art as opposed to like, hey, this is what it looks like in the game. We will see areas that have these spikes and stuff here in just a little bit, and we do go into like an underground area. So I think that's what we're going to. So next we have this character who's kind of sitting down. You don't really see, he's kind of like bundled up a little bit. And I am 99% sure that this is the same as the character from the trailer. So he's just got the black arms. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a character from the trailer. So I wonder if this is just meeting him at a different time. I'm wondering if we're going to have to meet different characters just in our travels, and eventually they come to the town that we see in the trailer. I'm guessing there's a possibility that's the thing. So the next one is like some sort of zoomed in art from like a card. I think that this is part of like some sort of an ability or an upgrade or something like that. If I had to guess, I have no idea. This looks really cool. This looks like some sort of like lore book thing. Either, yeah, I'm guessing book. It looks sacred. It looks important, but who knows? Next up, we have the underground. See, this is like what I'm talking about. You got like this underground like village city area almost. So in the far background, you can kind of already see like some of the different like vines with the spikes on them. And then up front, you see a lot of these like flowers. And what's really cool is next up, we also have an animation of what it looks like with just these like the petals of the flowers just kind of slowly raining down. Like you've got that and the rain and just how deep the background goes. Like this game looks so beautiful. And oh, if I didn't notice it before, maybe this is one of the earlier places where if you look up at the UI, we now have our special ability is all locked up. So I don't know if that means that something happened to the protagonist to where now maybe he can't use certain abilities or something, because now whatever that circle area is, which I would imagine would be similar to like how Soul works for Hollow Knight, having to guess here, for whatever reason that's now locked. I mean, what else could the chains mean other than locked, right? Okay, so now next image, looks like he's going through the forest again. He's just rolling uphill again. His mana stuff is locked, so I would have assumed that this was before the other area. Again, both of those images were showing no bullets, and now that the UI is locked, I don't know. Not sure if this next one is an early concept art or if it's just a joke. Oh, you know what? I wonder if this was a backer image. Now this makes sense. Look at how he's got the little scythe thing in his hand, and then the way that the face looks with the pluses and stuff. We're gonna see this enemy in just a little bit. Okay, I wasn't sure what this was at first. This might be a backer image. This looks really cool because it's just like the super detailed image of that guy that we saw earlier. This is some of the earlier, like the stuff that I'm talking about, where it's just like, it's so detailed. Like I love all of the spikes. I love the city, like the rocky area, the flower, like all of it, all the leaves, all of it. I love this. I can't wait to play the game with like this just completely fleshed out. Yes, please. And then here we've got a new enemy that we can see. We got the protagonist obviously shooting his scythe, but there's a flying enemy with a face, and it kind of looks like a spider. So clearly we're in the sewers. And I think we're just going to have a lot of really messed up looking enemies, especially in the sewers, I imagine, but probably all over the place. Another gorgeous underground area right here. I love this place. It looks so good. And then next up, we've got a place where you can see, oh, you got breakable pots. So next up, you can see we've got some sort of dead person, like with the vines that are slowly starting to take them over. Probably just some background art. And here's another dead person at a table. And I tried really zooming in on that dead person's right arm because it looks like maybe they have some sort of crossbow or something. Or they just have 2 bones in their right arm, which would be like how humans have 2 bones in their arm and the lower forearm. I don't know. But he's just sitting at the table and with some fresh flowers. Who's leaving these flowers? I don't know, but it looks kind of fancy with all the books and shiny stuff. You know, we're starting to get a little bit more high class in this place. So next up, we got a little animation, and this looks like that one enemy where I was just like, I don't know what this drawing is from. Like, it took me a long time to try to figure it out, but now you've got an enemy that's got like a double slash. It's got that same face. This is it. This is it for sure. So then I also noticed that the protagonist isn't using any shots, like purposefully, I would imagine. Maybe because we don't have any bullets on the UI. Again, we still haven't found our guns. Guess. Here's another hand. Again, we keep seeing these hands, and this one's on some sort of like platter, or it's like, it looks like it's important, right? So again, I think that this is some sort of ability or upgrade. After this, we come up against a fancy protagonist friend who's got a very big handgun. Like, extremely big handgun. Like, I don't even know why you'd need a handgun that big. Like, it's like when they talk about hand cannon, like, that is the definition of a hand cannon. It is just so large. And so up next, we have yet another hand, and it's so detailed. Kind of interesting that it's got blood on the fingertips. Like, maybe this hand gives you life steal if you bond with it or make it part of you. Completely guessing, but that would be pretty cool. I always did like me life steal in games. So next up, this picture actually had the title saying, fun fact, we've reached 1 billion pixels in the game. And this was back in March of this year. So not too long ago, but man, 1 billion pixels seems like a lot. And what's also kind of interesting to note is over on the right, you've got a glowing yellow, whatever that symbol is, a circle with a line through it. So obviously this symbol is going to be very, very important. And I'm really interested to know, like, is that an upgrade? Is that like what's going to happen there? And so after that, we seem to be running towards those gates. I imagine we go from the forest into the viney area. Like, we have to go through the gates to get to that vine area. I'm assuming that that's what's going on. And then after that, we've got the steel art book, which looks so good. They did an amazing job of this. And I don't know about you, but I picked up a couple of the steel art books. Once the game actually is released and we get these steel art books, I'll probably do some sort of giveaway or something for at least a couple of them because they are so cool. So with that said, make sure you subscribe so you know when we do more Crowsworn stuff. Oh man, these next two, these flying hands look so incredibly creepy. I don't know what it is, but these hands with their big brown fingernails are just so creepy. So you got the flying hand version, and then the walking hand as well. I mean, just that giant, like, that mouth, like a toothless mouth in the middle of the hand. I don't know what it is. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's got 6 fingers on top. Like, it's not even like a 5-finger hand, it's a 6-finger hand, and it crawls on another 3 fingers. Like, I don't know what, again, like, some of these things are just nightmare fuel. At least the flying hand has got 5 fingers. It looks more like a hand, but the ground hand, yo, I don't want that coming anywhere near me or my family. No, thank you. So this next one, we got a shy guy. He looks like a friend, you know. He looks like he's playing it safe. He's trying to hide a little bit, but you know what? He's there to help us in the long run. Maybe he buys those bloodstones. I don't know. It's interesting how many characters have those glowy red eyes, whether they're friend or foe. This next one, it makes me think of, like, who's that Pokemon? Like, I have I have no idea what that is. Maybe we'll get a teaser or like get it fleshed out later. As of right now, spoiler alert, we have no idea what that is. We won't find out by the end of this video. So here's another area, and again we got that double slash enemy floating around. So it's really cool that the backer who got this character in there, like it's not like it's only in there once, it's in there throughout. And again, the UI is showing the, I'm gonna say mana for lack of a better term, it's locked again. So it's like, for maybe there's like long periods of this stuff being locked, I'm not entirely sure, but it is kind of cool, like just being underground. And then there's also some sort of switch on the left hand side. And then after that so this is like the quote unquote like third area that I think we're getting into. We've left the forest, we've left the sewers, and then I guess we went to some underground area with all the vines, and now we're in like some sort of tower. And here you can see there's tons of gravestones in the background, and then just a lot of bells up at the top. And I think that in the trailer we've seen us being able to like pogo off of those, and like we're gonna like interact with those in some way, shape, or form. And last but not least, as of today's date, we've got this beak face looking thing, and I would guess this thing is not friendly, and more than likely it's gonna peck at you. It's just gonna, yeah, you know, it's gonna come for you. And so I don't know if this is the same thing that we saw earlier with that other beak face looking thing. The shape of this one's slightly different, but there's a good chance maybe those two things are related. Anyway, so we went through a ton of different images of Crowsworn. There's a lot of information that they shared, just tiny little tidbits of updates on their Twitter account at Mongoose Rodeo. I highly suggest you follow them if you want all of these, the little dripped pieces of information as it comes. If you haven't already subscribed to me, please do that. I'd really appreciate it, because I'm going to be doing more Crowsworn stuff as it comes out. And let me know down in the description below, would you like me to do something similar of kind of putting all the information that we've gotten from the Crowsworn Kickstarter campaign? There's a lot of information that we've got for backers only, which I can't like just read the entire thing, but I can give you some of the high level updates. Let me know if you want to hear about that. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. My name is Relia, and I'll talk to you again more real soon. Thanks. Bye.